Hello, my healing fam. I think we're going to skip the intro and get straight to it. I quit my job. Yes, I did it. I made that leap of faith and I am so excited about it. I have decided after 22 long years of collecting a W 2 working for someone else to just strictly rely on myself and to, I was already in business for myself, but to really pursue it and see it through and follow my own passion and dreams in a very independent, very um, visionary way, because I have had visions and dreams and aspirations for a very long time. And if you've known me, you've known a lot of them for a very long time, things that I have put off for years. And even this, right? Like even this channel, I wanted to do podcasting long before podcasting got popular. It was just my form of connecting, and honestly, it was very therapeutic for me. But once I saw that people were engaging with me and relating with me, just because I was, processing my own trauma and things like that back then, before I really became a clinician and boundaries and blah blah blah. Like I was probably, and that's why I stopped, honestly, because I know the role that played in my life at that time, and so I got a lot of encouragement then, and I knew I wanted to do things like this then before it even got popular, but I stopped. And even with blogging, I love writing, and I've had several books in my head for years, and I just haven't had time to write. When you're a clinician and you're writing soap notes all damn day, who wants to come home and write a book, right? And so that's why when I was leading up to this conversation and leading up to this decision, I talked a lot about, the impact of capitalism, of course, and the economic crisis we have, and the consumerism, and the collectivism, individualism. Like all those conversations I had led up to how I processed this decision, and that I chose happiness, right? I think for a long time I was living in fear about, of course, collecting a paycheck, paying bills, coming from poverty, and having all these doubts about whether I was capable of relying on myself and on my own 2 feet. And so a lot of the things that I wanted to do, I had to put off, and I worked a full-time job for, like I said, several decades, two decades. And then I also kept private practice as a part of my life for the last almost 10 years, first as a contractor, and then the last 3 to 4 on my own. I've kept that on the side because that's always been my passion. That's always been my dream. And I was like, I'll put my foot in, right? I'll put my foot in. It wasn't out of necessity at the time. It became a necessity to have 2 jobs, trust me. But it wasn't a necessity at the time. I did it because I enjoyed working with my clientele. I enjoyed working with my people. The job was to make sure I had insurance, and to make sure I was paying back student loans, and to make sure I was paying my car note, and the big bills. And then honestly, when you saw me on vacation and having fun, it was because private practice helped do that. And so getting realistic in my head, not to say that I don't expect to be able to, have as much fun that I was having by overworking myself. It was like I felt like I had to do that to deserve that, right? If you're working all the time, yes, I was going to use my vacation and do the things that I was doing at the time. But now in this point in my life, it's not to say that I'm not going to do those things anymore. Is that I trust that I have the ability to continue that life of abundance, because I have what I need. I have the support that I need. I have the resources that I need. I have the intelligence and the intellect and the competence and the confidence to do what I need. And I just been procrastinating out of fear of lack and insecurities of not having enough. And, what if the next emergency, the next crisis in this administration is all these doubts about not trusting myself. And the thing about me, and if you know me, is that I will self-correct, and I am big on integrity, and I allow people to call me out on it, and I call myself out on shit. And so this was one of those moments where I found myself encouraging a lot of people to do things, follow your dreams. You should do that. You should do this. You should do that. And I was looking at me. I said, well, you know, what about you? Right? Like, you've been dabbling with this private practice thing. What are you waiting for? And I had to ask myself those questions. Of course, you know, life transitions and changes impacted that. And I had to release that fear, release that doubt, and really step into what was really pulling me. And so the reason I go back to the conversation of being overworked and exhausted and burnt out is because looking back, I see how it impacted my decisions and how it impacted my relationships, and how, you know, I treated people, and how I didn't have time for people, and the people that I wanted to see and care about, I just didn't have time, and getting frustrated and irritated. And I saw myself declining because I wanted to juggle both. And I realized, and this is for a lot of people, that you can't be double-minded. Like, if your heart is really somewhere else, it's going to show up in one way or another. And whether you suppress it, whether you externalize it, whether you drink it away, whether you party it away, whether you sex it away, what our girls say, whether you do all these things to push away those feelings, that desire that you have to pursue something, it's going to eat you up inside out. Like, physically, ailments, your mental health, your physical health is going to come out in some way. And I feel like a lot of people are living a lie. And that's what I mean by like this national exhaustion and burnout, is like a lot of people are just living a lie. And how mentally exhausting that must be. Because we've let, again, societal pressures and respectability politics and just classism, elitism, and don't let me get started on patriarchy and misogyny and all these things. It's like, ain't y'all tired? I am. And that's how I felt. And I reflected back on a video from last year, like this point last year, that just showed up right before I recorded this video. Just realized I've been working 2 jobs since I was 18 years old. I am now 35. I want to be done with this life. And I know the universe was pulling me in a different direction, and it always has. And I know I've said in a sound healing session, you might not watch those, I said I feel very connected to spirit. I feel very connected to the divine. And I dreamt of this home before I even toured it to buy this house. And so when I say I know that I am being pulled in a direction for a certain purpose, I had to strongly believe that and lean into that. And it was like, any moment that I stepped away from that and decided to distract myself with other things, I kept hitting my head against the wall. And so when you're forced to sit in silence and in solitude, I think your eyes open. There is so much emotional contagion in the world. And emotional contagion is a phenomenon of like emotional synchronicities amongst people once they've been exposed to something long enough, right? And so when you're made to sit and look, and you're just as, I guess, my line name is Miss Ruminant, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. That means to meditate. That means to sit and think, right? Like, that was my line name in 2009 before I became a therapist. People knew I live in my head. So to sit in solitude and to view the world and see how it's operating, and to know that just you can see the emotional contagion, and I experience it, and I experienced it. And if you're an empath, you definitely experience it and you see it. And it's probably why you want to isolate and stay away from people and not go out and do things anymore, because you see just the toxic in the air, right? But at the same time, knowing myself and knowing my resiliency and my preservation and my ability to compartmentalize, and that's why I think it's almost a gift that I step into this space and do the work that I know that I'm supposed to be doing. And that's helping people come to a space where they're not engulfed by this emotional contagion, and they have the resiliency and the capacity and the ability to cope on their own with emotional capacity for this world. Because a lot of things aren't going to change. A lot of the system isn't going to change until people change themselves. Like, I know that sounds super cliche, but genuinely, there's different approaches that you have to take in looking at this society. I don't think things are going to change anytime soon in an administrative level and in the urgency that we expect, right? I think we have to be realistic about what can be accomplished in this lifetime. My approach might not be the typical approach, but here's my gripe with the capitalistic approach and wealth attainment approach. And I get super excited, and I'm proud of the Black community learning financial literacy and economics and stocks and investments and all these things, becoming multimillionaires and billionaires and all these other things. I am super excited and proud of those moments. But at the same time, if you think that these white people are going to let you out capitalize their capitalistic system without violence, then I don't know what you think is happening. And so for me, I want to change what I can change at this level, at this time, in this era, in this moment, because I see long days ahead of us. And so instead of going with the grain, I think of our ancestors, right? I compare it to who's going to stay here on this field and continue to do this work, and who's going to try to go out that tunnel and find freedom. I know that's a big exaggeration, but I'm tired of being in the field. I'm going to go and I'm going to find that tunnel and I'm going to find my way out. And I think that's my ancestors' wildest dream, is that I'm able to do that I have a way out and I don't have to stay in that situation, and I don't have to exhaust myself and burn myself out and miss out on time with family and friends, and missing out on rest, and missing out on sleep, and missing out on exercise, and missing out on good nutrition because I'm trying to work 60 to 80 hours a week. It's not worth it. And so I chose me. I chose happiness. I chose health. And we will see what this journey looks like, but I believe in myself. And I also have a very good support system. I have great people surrounding me. Like I said, I am continuing to do my yoga certification. I'm continuing to do my master Reiki. I am continuing to do my breathwork certification. I'm continuing to look into all the things, fitness and health and wellness, to help educate and bring holistic wellness to the Black and brown community, to all the community, but especially my community that has limited access to resources and information. And if you get offended by that, then you don't realize what community you are in the first place. Then I'm losing my voice because I'm ready to cry, but I'm really excited for this journey. I have no gripes with my past work experience. I learned so much. I am traumatized by some of my experiences, but we will get to that in my books later. But I am so grateful for the experiences I had, and the clients that I met, the kids that I met, the adults that I met, the staff that I met. I am super grateful for people that I've encountered on this journey, whether positive or negative. It taught me something, and I grew as a clinician, I grew as a therapist, I grew as a human, a practitioner, a healer, to be able to step into this confidence now to say that this is the journey that I'm on. And I'm glad that you have been on this conversation with me up until this point as we talk about building that confidence and that self-esteem and that awareness that how much greatness is in us, including me and you. I wanted to share that with you all. So I appreciate you again. This is going to be a ride. We will see how it goes. I can be more available for providing my community better services, more services, great, unique services. And I'm excited for that. There's been hella wait list for therapists, and it really felt like in my gut having to turn people away and say that I was full just because I didn't want to. I was working 3 nights a week and Saturday mornings, so you clocked the hours. I wasn't going to bed till almost midnight and still getting up and going to the gym. What's your excuse? Just joking. You see why I'm nuts. But I needed something, right? Like I had to cope with something, and that was my coping. And so we're done coping and avoiding. We're stepping in. We're standing tall, and we're walking in faith. So thank you for being on this ride with me, Healing Fam. Again, you can like, share, subscribe. We can have more conversations. I can carry you on this journey with me as a new independent business owner, clinician, therapist, Reiki healer, sound healer, yoga instructor, all the things. So I appreciate you being on this journey with me. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me at Healing Crown Wellness, Healing Crown Counseling on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the things. And I'll see you here next week.